What is up, guys, and welcome to the Rad Potential YouTube channel. I am fixing to install the master kill switch, the battery, the last bit of the engine wiring harness that goes to all the sensors, the gauge cluster if it's not sitting in here already, which I think it is, and get the radio surround out so that I can start wiring and setting up everything in here. We've got the trusty old Optima red top battery. So, racing peoples, you know you're not allowed to have a lead acid battery in the cabin with you unless it's in a sealed compartment. These gel batteries are a little bit of a different story, whereas they're not spillable. Therefore, you can have them in the cabin just kind of exposed, just so you know. So, we're going with the old gel battery. I've been using it around the shop, here, everywhere for a while. I'll buy a new one for the house. We'll put this one in the race car. So, the battery box is kind of funky on this car, right? So, there's two pieces of angle iron mounted to the floor, and the battery sits right in between them and gets clamped down in that little hole. I've got to dig out the wiring that I ripped out of the car, see what I can reuse, and start plumbing that back in. Also got my trusty little what's left over wiring rack. The other thing, future Eric hates past Eric for this reason, or I guess we'll say future Eric is inconvenienced by past Eric right now. See this right here? This is tape and cardboard, and I had the inside of the windshield taped off for when I was prepping the cage and stripping some of the old brackets and stuff so you don't get sparks in your windshield because it'll cloud your windshield. So I installed the dash with that in, and now I can't get the dang tape out. So I'm going to have to, like, loosen the dash and slide it back so I can reach in there and get it. I'm really not too stoked to have to do that today, but it needs to get done because I need that tape out of there. We can't be having this crumminess in here. So if you didn't see in the last video, guys, the car is primed, so it is all one color, and we are starting to put things back on it. So I'm going to get the, like I said, the battery, the wiring in. I've got to start working on the exhaust today. My big goal for today is to have the car cranking, and ideally, once it's cranking, it really shouldn't take that much to get this thing fired up. So I've got my fuel fittings, and we're just gonna get after it. What's up, my dudes? So we have now gotten to creaky doors. Let me tell you, creaky doors. All right, we've now gotten to the point where we are going to check for fuel leaks, and this is a big step because now there is 8 gallons of fuel in the tank. I've inspected all of the fuel lines, make sure every hose clamp, every deal, the whole wop is tight all the way up to the rail. We got stainless lines on there. No, it's not converted to like any sort of AN or dash whatever fitting. It's simply a stainless line with a hose clamp on the end. You might ask, why bother putting stainless lines on it? This, that, and the other. All they do is cut your hands and whatever. True, but with the stainless line, I don't have to worry too much about it rubbing and doing crazy stuff on this, that, and the other. Plus, they generally, you can route them fairly stiff so they won't like settle and touch stuff, and it's what I have here, so that's what we're going to use instead of cheap O'Reilly Gates rubber line. So that's what we've got on there now. We're getting ready to check for fuel leaks. So I've got 7 gallons of fuel in it on a GSL-SE, assuming that your factory fuel pump relay and I guess the cut circuit works. The fuel system on a GSL-SE actually functions only when the mass airflow sensor sees airflow. So, in theory, if you went up to the front and hit the airflow sensor open, right, the fuel pump should kick on. And that's how this system works. So that is safe. It should only come on when it runs, etc. There is, however, a way to bypass that, and I'll show you that here in a second, the test fuse. So we're going to turn our main power on here. We should see, verify, clock lights up. You saw it change. Key on. There shouldn't be any fuel pump noise. Got it off. Creaky door. Now, up here, we've got the mass airflow sensor. Oh. I got nothing. So, the other thing, there's a little connector right here, the covered one. That's your fuel pump. On, off. As you can see, mine isn't doing anything. So I've got this little connector, test connector. Same thing on like an FC Rx7, the newer ones, they have a fuel pump plug over here you can use to test and make sure that your relays and stuff are all working. So, if that's not working, on this car, I believe it's this guy. So what I'm going to do is actually turn the key off and on and see which one clicks over here, because that'd be the main power relay. Okay, so neither of them are clicking. Let's bump the starter and see if we can hear the fuel pump. Interesting. I didn't hear either of those click. So what I may do real quick is we're going to diagnose why that's not coming on. The other thing we're going to diagnose is we're going to diagnose why the fuel pump's not coming on real quick, verify all of this stuff's working, and go from there. Because if I recall, I used to, when this car was running, jumper the fuel pump on straight from the battery, just when we were tearing it up in the yard. So we do need to make sure that the factory GSL-SE wiring does work for the car. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Once I get that working, I'll tell you what was wrong, and then we'll keep on going. I got the fuel pump to work. I can't hear it, but notoriously this one wasn't terribly loud. But I definitely have fuel pressure, because you can see now, drip, I've got fuel leaking from the pulsation dampener on my fuel rail, which is not an uncommon thing. It actually happens more often than you think on these old things. They are like 40 years old. I don't have any fuel leaks on this side, just this side, so I'll have to pop this off. These pulsation dampeners will leak out the center of them right here. There's like a little screw that holds this cap on, that guy. So I'll need to either find another one, or we can just not have a pulsation dampener and I can put one of those fittings on the end of it like that, or just like that, right? And then we're good. It's not uncommon to delete the pulsation dampener. So you have another fuel rail here. This is that actual screw that likes to leak. So I could even try this one if I really wanted to. Which maybe we'll do that. Alright dudes, so despite me being terrible at filming today because, well, really there is no because, we have accomplished a good amount. So let's show you what we accomplished here real quick. Alright, main power right here goes through the tunnel. I don't even know if you guys can see up in there, but oh, kind of, sort of. Alright, so the main power comes from the battery right here, runs down the tunnel up in here to my main kill switch right here, which is currently now in the off position, which it needs to be. Okay, so the main kill switch there, the grounds to a seatbelt bolt over here. This is where the battery is, fresh battery bracket. I have the jumper cables on it, strictly so that the engine is grounded to here, because I ran out and I just didn't think with my brains, and didn't buy enough large eyelets to be able to finish up making the chassis ground. So I'll run a ground from the body to a starter bolt, and then to the body to one of the engine mounts, and that should be plenty of ground for this. So I need to I guess you guys are coming along for the ride. We're doing this live on camera, so let's set you down here. We're gonna hook up. Alright, ladies and gentle cars. You can tell we got power because the clock lights up. That's a win. I don't even know if that clock works, but I guess it doesn't. Let's grab the key here. Ho ho, we got voltage. I don't have any lights in my cluster. I don't know why that is. There's no drive shaft, so I guess we can bump the starter. Ho-ho! Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. We officially have power. Ooh. That's where that extra ground would probably help. Wonder if that's the starter. Probably the no. Oh wait, the starter isn't bolted down all the way. Man, first gen door creak. Ladies and gentlemen, how about that? Okay, so let me walk you through real quick. Want that off. Want that off. All right. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I see. Okay. The terminals are loose on the switch, so I turned it off. They twisted and touched each other. Alright, so let me walk you through how I have the master kill switch wired, okay? And how you can wire one in on your car, and how this should work to kill the whole entire car whenever you need to shut it off, okay? So, from the battery, big lead, all the way up to the kill switch. Kill switch turns on, that big lead goes down to the starter. From the factory, your positive battery cable goes from here, it goes into the harness, there's some harness stuff that comes off of it, and then it goes to the starter. So you need to feed straight from the battery to the starter. Now, once you've fed the starter, you now have to feed the rest of your car, right? Since you've eliminated the factory front mount battery location, right? Unless you've just extended that wire to wherever, which is fine if you want to do that, but we just eliminated the whole wire. So now, since I have full power at the starter, I'm going to run, and I have two little like 8-gauge wires, okay, up to these two fuse boxes. These two fuse boxes, fusible link boxes, whatever you want to call them, these two boxes power the rest of the car. So once you send power to here, you'll therefore be powering everything else, right? So, wire there, wire there. From here, you've got injectors, computer on a GSL-SE here. You've got this, you've got headlights, the main power right here, which is this one, so I have that one in. And then headlights and retractors is this one. This is the headlight retractor. That's what runs these. Because those, little motors take a lot of sauce. So, that's that. I'm stoked. We've got all that buttoned up for now. What's up, guys? We're back. It's late, and we are about to wake the entirety of the valley, in theory. So, since you guys were sitting there for 0.0 seconds to now, I have officially buttoned up everything else, minus the cooling system. So we have oil, makes oil pressure. We have fuel pressure, no leaks. We have spark. We have the distributor just kind of stabbed in there. We'll give it a little bit of timing advance from where it's sitting. That should be Should be plenty good there. We got igniters hooked up, alternator hooked up, batteries hooked up. It cranks sometimes. The starter seems to not pop out hard enough to catch, so I need to get another starter. I think I'm just going to put a FC starter in this one like I did that other white Rx7 we built a long time ago. So the new airbox, new to this car / freshened up airbox, came out sick. I've got the little boot piece that goes from here to here as well. That'll fill that gap. Coolant reservoir looks sweet. Use the factory one. All this stuff's all hooked up back here. I did run out of vacuum caps, so this is one of my vacuum leak plug cap things. The header ends right past the O2 sensor right here, which is why I say we're going to wake everybody up, because that's where the header's at. And if you haven't gone back and looked at the full restoration of this car, I apologize for it being dusty back there, but I promise you everything is brand new and fresh and sick under here. So I'll put the link into to the playlist, but you should definitely go back, check out the rest of it if you haven't been following along the whole time. So I guess that means I should quit yapping, open the garage door, and see if this thing starts. So do I think it's going to fire right off? I don't know. We'll find out. This is probably going to be very, very loud if it starts, which it should. So no drive shaft, no nothing. I don't have any coolant in it, so I really can't run it for that long. But I just wanted to pop it up, make some noise. We do have a gas pedal now. If I recall correctly, this car really liked to just cranking it, and then when it catches, just kind of catch it. Told you. Okay. Didn't even really sound like it wanted to pop. Let's advance the timing a little bit, and then if still no go, we'll check again, make sure we have spark. So no D's there. Hopefully we don't run the battery down. Let's check for spark real quick. This should be leading one right here. I'm going to put you guys down. Leading one. Spark plug that we know makes spark. Lay this doodad somewhere we can see it. Oh yeah. Alright, so looks like we're getting spark here. Huh. I don't get it. I really don't get it, folks. I really don't get it. So this car, when I very first ever, forever ago, put it together, right? So we're talking like 3 years. The very first video on the YouTube channel was this car getting made, put together and hooked up so it was running, right? Just so it was running. Didn't do anything cosmetically at all. I got it running, we tore the hell out of it in the yard, and that was it. Well, we had issues getting it started then because the front timing mark was on wrong, and it just didn't go. So I actually got it running. We drove it a couple times, and it had some bad detonation and blew the motor up, broke the apex seal. Live and you learn. So anyways, I thought I had that fixed, or got that fixed, right? We rebuilt the motor, put the timing mark thing back on correctly, and then had it running, and it ran great, the whole deal, no big deal. Then I took it apart, because I shaved and painted the engine bay and was going to repaint the car and like fix it and sell it, right? This is the start of this build. Then I had a customer, whatever. So now we're back to here. So it should just run. I don't know why it's not running. I'm getting frustrated, and it's really late at night, but I really want to just figure it out. What did I just change? I don't remember what I just changed. Did I adjust the timing a little bit? Oh, I gave it some more timing. All right, let's try it. Put my earplugs on because I got my garage door shut because it's cold outside. I didn't even have the fuel pump on. Come on, dude. Still nothing. Gee, dang it. All right. Okay. Let's see what we got. Do they fire? Alright, so it's super cold. The camera battery's about to die, but listen. Okay, so the injectors both click when I send power to them. Whoa! Oops. Oh, man. Alright, guys, we are back in the shop. As you can see, I just got home from work and apologize to my engineering firm for leaving early today to come home and mess with this, but I am getting the dog and going back to the office. On an aside, though, I think I fixed it. Do I know what actually fixed it? No. However, I have an idea. So, in the engine harness, there are two ground wires that come out of the engine harness and get screwed to the chassis, like the engine itself, right? There's two little grounds. I can show you. They're right down in here. I showed them in the engine harness video. And those two grounds, I did have both of them hooked up to the intake manifold. Well, what my thinkings is now, because I only had one of them hooked up to the block and the other one hooked up to the intake manifold in its original configuration. Now I have both of them hooked up to the block, and I now have stuff, fuel, magic coming out of my injectors. Full blown. And it almost tried to start with like no intakes because I didn't take any of the spark off. But in addition to that, I want to say huge thanks to everybody on my Facebook post who on the interweb that helped me out, because I went through and I systematically checked every one of these relays over here to make sure that they're functioning properly. These two round relays, come to find out, are your injector relays. So these are what send 12 volts to the injectors. Now, the injectors themselves do not work off of a 12 volt pulse. They work off of a ground, which I knew that. So, checking that I didn't have a signal there last night was okay, but not entirely the best way to do it, come to find out. I found out that I do have 12 volts, or I did have 12 volts at the injectors after verifying the relays are working and probing each one of those to regular ground, not the other injector wire, just the one wire in the injector to ground, and I had 12 volts of both. So I'm like, okay. While I was in there moving stuff around and I had the key on, the ground wires that weren't connected to the engine, the one that wasn't, assuming both ground wires come from the same source, right, and just need to be grounded, after hooking them both together and putting them on the engine, I've got 12 volts in my injectors, and they ground, and they ship fluid out of it. So I'll crank it a little bit here. I hope it doesn't actually like start, but yeah, I hope it doesn't start. It'd be great if it started and stuck that rag right down in there, and you know the whole deal. But you see here, if it cranks, come on. Voila! We got magic! So, super stoked. You guys saw it squirt out. I am, obviously, I can't stay here and work on this because I need to go back to the office, get some work done for work. But in my, letting the dog run around and go to the bathroom, I was able to figure out what was going on. and get it sorted. And you heard it try to start. I'm happy it didn't, because it would have, yeah, you know, made a mess. But I cleaned this out, the bowl out. There's fuel in there. You saw it spray out. So in theory, it should fire up. Get stoked. Woo! Get stoked. We're getting closer. Catch you in the next one, wherever I put this. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy that it did magic. I was really going to be irked. Fun fact, I had already sourced, used, good condition, known, working mass airflow sensor, injectors. I couldn't get the wiring harness, but I figured mine would probably be okay. And any other assorted, the coolant temperature sensor on these is one that's known to kind of fail. You get it out of spec and it'll basically make it flood itself when it starts. But get stoked. Alright, I can leave this set up like it is. And in the next video, Charles is going to come over and we're going to put, ideally, brakes on it. We're going to put everything else on it. And then that video will drop after I've already hauled it to Indiana and painted it. But you guys will see what's going on at that point. Next Tuesday we'll have the thing running, and then next week Thursday won't be able to make a car video because this car will be in Indiana getting painted. And yeah, either way, even if I put all the stuff I just rambled on about for forever in there, thank you guys very much for watching. I'm stoked we have injectors firing. Keep it rad. This thing's running soon, probably tomorrow night. Let's go.